Hello, good morning. It is December 18th. Welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cindy. I'm delighted that you are choosing to spend a few minutes with me. So today is going to be kind of a bit of an interesting video because I'm going to look at politics, and then I'm going to look at positive energy and positive thoughts. Because I think in this day and age, and with everything that's going on in the United States with the impeachment, it's really, really important to not sort of lose sight of the big picture and keep your energy up and positive. So, but first, let's dive deep into what's going into Washington right now. Okay, so if I understand it correctly, today and possibly tomorrow morning, this is sort of the last act, I think, of the House impeachment process. So they're doing all of this final debating on the floor right now, and then it goes to a vote. And I don't know how many votes it goes to. I think the articles of impeachment get voted on individually. But in any case, it's going to prove to be a long and interesting day where all of the attention is focused on Trump and what he did or did not do. So one would think that he would be in a slight state of agitation because, of course, nothing sends him around the bend faster than being criticized in any way. And so what you have here is hours and hours and hours of testimony, or it's not testimony, they're giving statements. But what it does is it just focuses in on, like I said, what he did and what he didn't do. Well, what he did was try to, basically strong arm another country for his personal benefit. What he didn't do was play fair and release the documentation, let people testify. And so what you have is half of the House kind of working really hard and diligently to sort of get this thing from point A through to completion. And you have another group of people who have not contributed, but just like to scream about, unfair due process and, procedures that were or weren't followed. So it's aggravating, right? It's really aggravating to listen to and to have to process. So I just want to take a look at how Trump is doing, frankly. What's going on with him behind closed doors? Because, Mitch says, I'm in lockstep with, which he has no business saying. That's ridiculous, with the White House attorney's office. Okay, and so that's what he's chosen to do, fine. But I don't think that they actually are. Like, I think, McConnell is politically savvy enough to understand that this thing needs to process quickly. It needs to get through the Senate quickly and bring this thing to an end. Trump, on the other hand, is, the reality TV star. So he wants to get called back for another season, right? He wants to go out with a big cliffhanger. And so I don't quite understand how these two are going to find a balance, because if Mitch has his way, then one gets the feeling that Donald Trump will just continue to get his message out by tweets, because that's, what he does. And if Donald Trump gets his way and this thing gets turned into a three-ring circus, the last thing Mitch McConnell wants is for all of the senators, or all the Republican senators, to look like a bunch of bumbling idiots. So it's going to be interesting. So come on down, because I have a question. I want to do a bit of a dive into Trump's mental state right now as this is processing all around him. Come on down. Okay, so I have a question. Let's just do a couple more shuffles. These things have been well shuffled. And let us focus in on how Trump is actually processing and coping with what is going on this week. So, Trump, mental state, impeachment, Trump, mental state, impeachment, Trump, mental state, impeachment. Okay, so in kind of some funny ways, there is a part of him that actually believes that the process that's going on today is going to steer him into clearer waters, calmer waters. And to be fair, he's not wrong, because yes, he's going to be impeached, and yes, that's a problem, and he doesn't like that because it's a black mark on his name. However, he knows that the faster he gets impeached, the faster it moves to the Senate, and that then changes the narrative considerably. So in some ways, he actually is wanting this process to move ahead, because again, he sees it in terms of ratings and a television perspective and a marketing perspective. He does not have the ability to actually look at it from a political perspective or a legal perspective. For him, it's all about the show. And so he wants to frankly get on with the show. He wants to get past this part that is technical and logical and legal and real. And he wants to get on to something that is going to shift the attention to something, if not more positive about him, although he believes it will be, but at least moves it so that there can be a lot of doubt about, whether things were actually done right, and whether, So he's, in some ways, he's really looking forward to this thing moving forward. But at the same time, he's actually really scared of illumination, right? He's really scared of the information that he doesn't want coming out, because that's not going to be good either. And I think he's actually really agitated by the fact that even though this has gone as far as this has gone, there continue to be all of these investigations swirling around. So in some ways, you actually get the feeling that he thinks that this is going to be the end of it. And it's not going to be the end of it. And, you can see exactly what happens when he thinks something is the end of it. I mean, when he thought Mueller was done with him, he immediately, amped up or increased the bad behavior that he was already in trouble for. So it's sort of an interesting thing. He's really, really, he's scared of the police, okay? He's scared of the law. He is. It has never been kind to him. He has always ended up settling as opposed to winning lawsuits. And he doesn't really have a lot of reason to feel that this situation is going to end any differently, except that he sees himself as, king, right? He thinks that his position is going to protect him. And unfortunately, with the Republican Senate, it might. But let's deal with today. So again, his thoughts are kind of a bit of a swirl. Now, that letter he sent out yesterday really did indicate that the extent to which his mind is revving, if you will, right? I mean, it's just, it's spinning, and it's spinning at a really, in fast rotation, if you will. And it's about worry. Okay, that's what's going on in his head. He's worried about things coming out. He's worried about the law. He's worried about his money. He's worried about his standing with the White House, and he's worried about justice actually prevailing. And in some ways, because he is sort of detached, the whole process is a bit of a mystery to him, right? Like, he doesn't understand or grasp the significance of what is going on and how it plays and what people hear. You now have over 70% of the country of the United States, who, I mean, heck, you guys don't agree on anything, except gun control and that's something else where you guys actually hit the high 80s and 90s. But for the most part, especially right now, it's a pretty darn divided country. But over 70% of people want those aides to testify. They want to hear what Pompeo and Mulvaney and Bolton have to say. And so, but he doesn't understand that, right? He believes that if he continues to bully his way through, then it's somehow going to work to his advantage, and it's not. But again, he just doesn't understand. So, while there is a need and a desire within the country, literally, for some balance and this lack of theatrics, frankly, on both sides, they're just tired. They want people to kind of meet in the middle and walk forward. And not so much is that happening. So what you have is a country that feels as if in some significant ways they have been literally left out in the cold. Their feelings, their thoughts, their opinions don't seem to matter because this theatrical performance is being played out in front of their eyes, and they are really, really scared that, and this includes Republicans, and this especially pertains to independents and, of course, Democrats. But there really is a fear that he is going to sort of walk away with all the spoils, that he is going to be able to skip justice this time too. And that is only going to embolden him more. And so there are some real serious, legitimate fears out there. And that's something that, we're going to take a look at a little bit later on in this video. So, it's really interesting how much stuff goes on behind the scenes that the public is simply not aware of. I mean, before whatever it was, September 9th, none of us really had any clarity about all of the things that were going on behind the scenes with Ukraine. I mean, we were aware that Giuliani kept bouncing to the Ukraine and he was visiting other people and there was some strange stuff going on. But really and truly, there was not any clarity about what was actually going on until, everything sort of got exposed. And by the same token, right now, you have sort of the same situation. We really don't have a lot of clarity on what is going on behind the scenes, what is being talked about, what is being negotiated, etc. So it's kind of like we are looking at the surface of a very calm lake. Okay, I grant you, the lake's not calm, but go with me here. So a really calm lake. And what we're not seeing is the fish swimming and the frogs hopping and the plant life growing. Okay, we don't see that. We just see the surface. And in a lot of ways, that's exactly what politics is like, right? They show you the surface that is best, more palatable, okay, and puts them in the best light. And everything that goes on behind the scenes and it's kept quiet. So what you have here, behind the scenes, it appears as if there are really, really emotions running very, very high. And the more he says, I'm not afraid, that, whatever he rants and raves about, it's an indicator that his emotions are really starting to spin out of control. As a result of that, there is an increased use of behaviors that make him feel powerful, and he perceives make him, put him in the best light. He thinks that it makes him look good when he's a big bully. And people are suggesting things to him. There are offers being made to him or suggestions being made to him, and he is completely resistant. Part of what happened with that letter yesterday, honestly, was that he isn't liking the offers that are being made. He's not liking what he has been told behind closed doors and behind the scenes. And they're trying to make him understand that, you know what, he is not exactly all that powerful. And that made him angry, and he doesn't like basically the choices that he has in front of him. He doesn't like them. They're not working well for him. And so that letter yesterday was not only for history, my God, for history. Like, history is going to have so much to say about this presidency. I don't really think we need any more written words from the Trump. But anyways, that letter was actually a way of him sort of publicly putting his foot down. That's what he does, right? Let's not forget, when he gets annoyed with somebody, it's public. When he fires somebody, it's public. That is how he gets his message out, that messages that should be kept quiet or with more decorum or more dignity. He tweets about them. He spews out written salads and garbage. That's how he communicates to not only the world, unfortunately, but to the people under him, and says, this is what I expect. This is the behavior I want. This is what you're doing that I don't like. And so that letter, in a lot of ways, was acting out. It was Trump having another temper tantrum where he wasn't getting his way. He doesn't like what's going on. And so, you know, I'm just going to insert myself and carry on as if I am in complete control and and completely exonerated and everything is perfect. So he really doesn't, okay? He just doesn't get it. Nancy Pelosi scares him. The government in and of itself scares him because he doesn't understand the process of how it works. So, and he doesn't want to learn, or he doesn't seem to have the ability, frankly, anymore to be able to learn and grasp it and hold on to it. So Pelosi scares him. Powerful women scare him. And he is starting to feel that pushback on that female energy, and it always makes him so crazy defensive. And in some ways that's kind of good because he projects, right? So he lashes out and rants and raves, and then you actually have a much better idea of what's going on with him. So somewhere behind the scenes, he is also feeling some really intense pressure, and it's making him feel very defensive, and it's making him feel that, he is being judged, and God knows he hates being judged. And he realizes that, I actually really am being judged, and I don't like it. But as usual, his eye is really on his stuff. His image, his good name, his money, his assets, his possessions, and so it's just not good. Okay, so you know what? This is the bottom line here. Today's going to come and it's going to go, and either today or early tomorrow, if this thing stretches out all day, Trump is going to end up with a broken heart. His supporters are going to be agitated and upset because how dare, how dare this amazing, wonderful, better than Lincoln president get his feelings hurt and get impeached. And that's where we're at. Okay. So he's going to continue to cling to his part of the story, and the world is watching, and he understands that he's getting, he knows that, around the world, it's not only going to be the United States papers that have the word impeached screaming across their headlines tomorrow. He understands that that's actually global. And so his humiliation is not only contained within the country, but it is it's global. And lots of people have a lot that they're going to say about this. Okay, so I'm just going to stop, and you're going to see me back in a second, and I'm just going to kind of recalibrate my energy. So just, I'll be right back. Okay, so part 2 of today's video is really about focusing in on keeping your energy and your thoughts positive. So let's start with just a couple real basics. And a lot of you out there are very gifted and you understand these concepts clearly. But I want to just sort of take it down to a basic level for everybody to understand. Everything in our world is made up of energy. All of it. We are... the weather is, the earth itself is a living being, if you will, and everything is about energy. Okay, so there's different vibrations, if you will, of energy. Some energy moves so slowly that to us, it actually looks and feels as if it is not moving at all, as if it is solid. But it actually, in fact, is not. It has its own energy vibration, and that is very slow, and it processes very slowly. So it feels dense, okay, which then in our world feels solid. We also have the energy that we sort of function in on a day-to-day basis. And depending on our own personal energy, that tends to create a reflection of how we view and see and feel the world. Okay, and this is basic stuff, right? If I'm happy and I'm laughing and I'm having a good time, I am going to feel like laughing more. I'm going to want to enjoy more time and be in that place. If I am in pain and I am sad or angry and depressed, even though I don't want to spend time in that space, in this universe that we live in, like always attracts like. So if you are in a dark and heavy place, you unfortunately, unless you change your energy vibration, are going to continue to draw to you that sort of lower based energy. And it's sort of like a depression, right? One of the hardest things in the world to do is sort of lift yourself up out of a depression so that, and I'm not giving out medical advice here, but, whether it is a combination of talk therapy and medication or whatever, or, holistic, whatever. I'm just saying that at the bottom of it all is ultimately you have to decide that energy isn't working for you anymore, and you have to find a way to raise your vibration in order to shift that which is lower and denser, okay? And then there is all of these other energy level vibrations, and they move really fast. And so to us, they feel nebulous, right? We can't quite reach that vibration, and so to us, that energy seems outer worldly. Okay, and so whether you are talking about spirit or angels or a divine presence, that is on just a higher vibrational level, and so to us it seems like it's somewhere kind of in the ethers. But in fact, all of the energy vibrations are kind of like in the same place, sort of at the same time, if you will, but they're just in levels, okay? And we gravitate and we know what is our level. So because that is sort of the way the process works, if you keep clear in your head that like attracts like, it always has and it always will. then the understanding comes that on some level it is your thoughts, your actions, your words that sort of create the world that you live in. So understand this. Thoughts are powerful. They really are. Words are more powerful, and deeds are more powerful than the other two, okay? So when you think something and you are wanting it to sort of move forward, right? You're thinking a positive thought and you want it to move forward. It starts with a thought, and then it is something that you verbalize. And then after you verbalize, you start taking steps to make your thought real, to make it happen, right? And this simple. We do this 100 million times a day, I swear, right? I'm thinking I need to get going because I have an appointment in an hour. I'm saying, wow, look at the time. I really got to keep track of the time because I have an appointment in an hour. Ultimately, I get in my car and I go to my appointment. Word, thought, word, deed. Okay, it's so. Negative energy, lower energy vibration that we experience in our realm, in our vibrational, it operates on a spectrum. So there's, fear is one end of the spectrum, and basically love and hope is the other end of the spectrum. When our thoughts are negative, or they have a negative connotation to them, which is really what I'm driving at here. What happens is those thoughts are created from a fear base. And so the thought in and of itself, the words, actually creates more fear. It makes us more scared. It makes us more frightened. And if you can move that thing up to a more positive realm of hope, happiness, joy, then it attracts more of that. And that ends up being what, creates that change or that energy. The universe does not speak in negatives. I don't know why. I don't have an explanation. I just know it to be true. So you have to be really careful about your thoughts. So this is an example. I am terrified of cancer. Being terrified is a lower vibration. It is a more negative vibration. So the universe doesn't hear that. So what it hears is, I am cancer. So you have now embodied the very thing that you are afraid of. Because of that just kind of quirk in the way energy works, you have to be very mindful when you're thinking thoughts. So any sort of negative connotation, I want Trump to leave. I want Trump. I can't stand what's happening to my country. I stand to what's happening with my country. Do you understand it? It cancels the negative and it amplifies sort of the positive, but it ends up being exactly the positive that you don't want. So when you're thinking about Trump, I'm just simply asking that you give some real thought to keeping your thoughts really positive. So when you're trying to manifest anything, you want to feel and think and in some ways believe and embrace the understanding that you're looking for change. You're looking for hope. You want to function from a place where it is already there. It's already a reality. You just have to sort of tune in to that reality. You have to get all the energy flowing to that reality. You have to believe it's true. And that just builds and it amplifies and it grows that thought. So instead of saying, I want Trump out, he's a bleep and I can't stand him and he's an embarrassment and all of that, just shift your energy to statements like, I am so looking forward to the new president. I am so looking forward to the White House becoming or being a place of integrity and law. I embrace the idea of a new administration coming in and changing and correcting, the situations that are not just, if you will. You need to be really careful because what you think and then what you say and then the deed attached to it becomes amplified. And if you're thinking something over and over and over again and it's not of a high vibration, you get drawn down into those lower vibrations. So what you have is people who are angry and they just want Trump gone and they can't stand one more minute of him anymore. They end up sort of trapped in that really frightened, scared vibration where they just can't take anymore because they keep telling the universe, I take more. And you have another group of people who are really, really focusing on, I absolutely believe and I embrace the idea that there is going to be an amazing new president in 2020. I embrace the idea that justice comes where justice is deserved. Keep those thoughts like that, and you're going to find that not only are you in a better place mentally and emotionally because you are living in a state of hope, that it becomes easier and easier for you to stay in that place and in that process of higher energy and higher vibrations and more positive thoughts and thinking. And that changes a life dramatically. It really, really does. When you believe it, you see it. It's not the other way around. If you believe it, you can make it happen. That is your power. Okay, I'm hoping that this wasn't sort of a little not too kind of wordy. And I hope you were able to follow along what I was saying. So let's keep our thoughts super, super, super positive. And until next time, I thank you for all of your support. It has been amazing, and I'm so grateful. And I want you to go on and continue to have a really fabulous day today. Keep your thoughts positive, and the world will become a more positive place around you, including what's going on in Washington and including with that president. Okay? Take care. Be well. And I'll see you soon. Bye.